Lilia. Ooh, that was sad, Jack Schaefer. Very sad. Oh, wow. I didn't enjoy a lot of the episode because, I'll just say it now, because it was hard to walk Lilia's path. It was very disorienting. And then also a lot of this was just confirming things that we already had known or guessed. But it hit me harder than I anticipated by the end. And I actually do think it's a beautiful episode. Oh, Joe Locke, you picked good on your favorite episode. All right, so considering how short the episode was, when I turned it on, I checked the time and I was like, Disney Plus, what are you doing to me, man? But we still have plenty to discuss because some big stuff was confirmed. Oh, and went a little further than I think we anticipated, which was delightful. But I want to say up front that something I really appreciate about this show, and that was really in full form with this episode, is celebrating women, warts and all, supporting themselves and supporting each other. Like Jennifer has the chance to escape the witch's road, but Lilia asks her to stay with her and help her because you are my sister in the craft. And Jennifer stays. That was beautiful. Women have historically been pitted against one another and often derided and sometimes punished for showing camaraderie because it makes them powerful, which is perhaps why they've historically been discouraged from being camaraderie-full. So to see these women coming together here, along with a gay man, not just a special bond, but in many ways, truly a part of the same group, is really moving. I think it's just beautiful. So again, as I said, this episode was difficult to follow because Lilia walked a difficult path, a difficult life. Experiencing, we discover, time out of order, not just in flashes here and there, which is how she made it seem, but she was in fact constantly, speaking of a deck of cards, a shuffled deck. But her moments of clarity were, to me, the most devastating. Oh, I was like, oh, Lilia, you zeroed in. You're killing me. Like when she told Jennifer with the utmost sincerity that she loved being a witch, even though it had brought her so much pain. I'll never forget that. And I think that that was something that we should all think about. I was really moved by that. And Patti LuPone, you're a legend for a reason, baby. I mean, wow. And so I think that while this was Lilia's end, it also brought her peace. Not only because she finally appreciated and understood her gift, but, and this also makes it so sad. I think that she had no more surprises left in her own life. Her life had ended. I was going to say this at the end of the video and still will, but it's so poignant. Oh, this is going to get you as well. She became a closed circle. Her life ended, and she's going to continue to complete it, or re-experience it probably forever in a loop because of her abilities. But now she knows what the end is, which I think is why that final shot of her going back to her first lesson as a witch, she felt so much more at peace. Because even in the flashbacks, when she went back to her early days, she was worried. She was not happy. She was, a miss. But she finally was grounded because she knew everything. There was nothing else left to know. And she would, again, continue to experience it out of order. Okay, we'll get back to Lilia. Don't worry, still lots to unpack there. But next, I want to address two big headlines from this episode. So Rio is death. The spoiler is finally out there. It's official. We can finally talk about it. And I must say, her Funko does not do her justice. She looks phenomenal. I love that she has the skull face from the comics, but they decided to go here with a partial skull face, which is even cooler. The fact that Disney Marvel allowed them to do that, I mean, I guess maybe the compromise was that the lighting wasn't so good and you have to significantly lighten the frame to really see it, but it's very nice. I can see a lot of Halloween costumes were just born. You still have time. You got about a week to throw that together. All right, so why is death so important besides being death? Well, as you'd expect, death gets around in more ways than one, as we're going to discuss. I loved when Rio said, all roads lead to me. And of course, they're on the witch's road. That's been a big topic of discussion. I thought that was great. But also think about that. They've been traveling the witch's road with death. I mean, wow. And sure enough, 3 of them have died. I mean, wow. As Rio predicted, she is getting her bodies. So Agatha knows Rio is death. Another great line. Lots of great lines going. Once again this episode, when Agatha says, what can I say? I like the bad boys. And maybe that's why she's kind of drawn to Wanda, because Wanda has a very bad streak. So yes, Rio is the original Green Witch, but it was nice that in this episode, Agatha is also playing a Green Witch. But in Marvel Comics, Death has a busy dance card. Now this is new that she's dated Agatha, but in the comics, she's had a relationship with Thanos. He racks up a lot of bodies himself. Of course, he would fall in love with Death, but also Deadpool, himself a killer. Ooh, Rio has a type. So there's a lot of interesting ways to use Aubrey Plaza's death going forward in the MCU. Basically, anytime a character dies. She's already met a lot of Avengers. I mean, wow, that could be very interesting. I wonder how they'll square this with Hela, the Asgardian goddess of death. To be honest, I think Kate Blanchett would really fit with this group, and I think she'd love to be a part of this group. And she's already come back to the MCU to voice some of the What If episodes, so she's game. I wonder if she's watching the show being like, put me in, Feige. And we're like, yes, do it. All right, the other big headline, of course, is Hello, Bitchy Billy. I love it. He's not so nice. He was not lying to us, and I love it. Turns out he can serve as well as the rest of the coven, from insults to looks. Oh, from cheekbones to the perfect pout. I loved it. Again, I'm impressed that Disney let this show go all the way with this depiction, with using one of their iconic characters as well. I mean, it's fantastic. It's really, they're making up for lost time. It's great. Not only is it nice to see him hold his own with the other witches, he continues to be very powerful. Even though he's not using his blue energy, he reads Lilia's mind. I mean, he says she's screaming at him with it, but still. And it's interesting. It's interesting, particularly with how they're all dressed, that he truly is a witch. Isn't that great? Neither totally good nor totally bad, and maybe leaning a little bit more towards bad, just like Wanda. And I really like that. You know, a Disney villain has a reputation to uphold, and hey, they are now officially Disney villains. I love it. I love it. I love this for him, and I think Joe Locke does a great job. Isn't he good that, you know, he can be such a bitch, and you're like, but he's such a sweet boy. You're like, he was just a total bitch. You're like, it's okay. He's so cute. Oh, look at him. All right, so we got a babysitter reference, by the way. And while some Wanda stans will be upset that Billy considers his mother to be Mrs. Kaplan, Rebecca Kaplan, Wiccan stans will be delighted. That's the way it's supposed to be. Don't worry, Wanda stans, he'll come around. And, you know, you should also be very excited that Billy asked Agatha, she said, ask me your questions. And he had one. He said, do you think Wanda's actually dead? And Agatha said, ooh, not sure. That's the answer we all wanted to hear. And another instant classic line, she says, you want straight answers, ask a straight lady. Oh, that's going to become a lot of people's personal sayings. That's great. Although, interestingly, Agatha is definitely retreating more and more behind her persona. And she feels less like a real person. It's sad, you know, that's her coping mechanism. We can understand it. But I do miss the real Agatha, who we connected with so deeply in the first few episodes. And maybe that's why she's the Wicked Witch of the West with the cackle and the overdramatic, you know, makeup and look. That's an interesting choice for her now that I think about it. Back to Wanda. Again, as we've already discussed, I feel she was near death, which is why Agatha saw a body, but the return of her children will wake her. Because that earlier line, when the sigil was removed, when it was said that now every witch with a heartbeat can hear that he is Billy Maximoff. And we all knew who heard him. That line's too good not to be intentional. Jack Schaefer, don't mess around. By the way, we find out why Lilia placed that sigil on him. It wasn't nefarious. She knew he'd need time to come to terms with his transformation, and so she gave it to him. Isn't that beautiful? It fits very well with the vision of this show and the representation, and it's just overall a beautiful sentiment. She was a bit wobbly on forgiving him about throwing her and Jennifer off the road, though. I liked when she came and confronted him and called him teenager. And Jen was like, ooh, using the full name, you know, because, you know, instead of just teenager. I thought that was great. And when Billy has to ask a true question for the trial, he says, am I William or am I Billy? And I'm like, didn't the use of blue magic already settle this for you? But now apparently he needed a concrete answer. Or maybe he just wants more underlining, right? Because he so wants it to be. It's clearly true because Lilia pulls the magician card. perfect for Wiccan. And what is he missing? The son, Tommy. But then his reading is interrupted because this is Lilia's trial and she realizes she needs to do her own reading. It's a great line from her mentor, her original mentor, saying that Lilia's task is not to control, but to see. That's a great bit of advice for everyone because how much control can you really have? But you can make sure that you have your eyes open and your ears open. Oh, it's great. And your heart. But she truly sees everything, even her death, which is part of her trial. I mean, the episode's title is Death's Hand in Mine. Oh, chills. And in fact, the episode opens on her death. We and Lilia just don't know it yet. This time, we get a castle instead of a house, a castle with a capital C, complete with a drawbridge. What moon sign is that? They don't even care anymore. Something to do with blades, I guess. An hourglass timer, and fairy tale witches from The Wizard of Oz, which is in public domain, and of course also features a famous road, and Disney. I think the best look is, drumroll, Billy! He wears it the best as well. I mean, he rocks the shoulder pads, everything. It's really impressive. He has poise. But I'd say runner-up would have to be Agatha, because not only do I appreciate how far they go with her costume, but she also has really cool movements as well. I mean, when you have a big costume, you got to go big with your physicality. And both of them, I think, really understand that. So she's definitely, again, as I said, runner-up. Cute joke that she inspired the original character in the book, but I'm getting a little tired. I'm like, I miss actual Agatha. And so I'm like, yeah, I get it. You know, you're the original bitch, whatever. But I don't, I want to get back to Agatha. I guess she keeps making those jokes again to push people away and build up her rep. So, I mean, it's on point. It's on character. But like Rio, I'm like, where's the real you? It's a little jarring to have these whimsical fairy tale characters for such a sad, real, hard-hitting episode. But I think they fit with Lilia and that they are timeless characters as well. That's very beautiful. It was a funny line, though, when Jennifer was like, we can get upset about cultural misappropriation or whatever later. I thought that was a great line. It was like the Disney, pre-warning before some content come to life. All right, we learned that Lilia has experienced, again, as I said, her whole life out of order. Although she did take a break from witchcraft after her coven died, something she'd predicted from fever. They died from fever, in fact. And then she was on her own for centuries because she felt it would be too painful to lose another coven. That's really moving as well. But that's why she was on the witch's road. Not for power. She already has it. She went because she realized, or at least subconsciously realized, that she needed a coven again. And she got it. Wait till you see something else about the coven as well. All right. So anyway, a lot of things we've been guessing were, as I said, confirmed this episode, which means less surprises this episode. But the good thing is, it means we got nothing but surprises coming for the final 2 episodes, which both air back-to-back next Wednesday. Billy guesses Agatha was never even on the road. Ooh, we've been saying that, Billy. Rio is death, and Lilia has been saying lines from future episodes all along, just like Agatha all along. I appreciate that very meta callback, even in the writing. But what we didn't guess that was happening all along was that the witches have had moments where they acted out tarot cards. Now, I'm too superstitious to Google the actual tarot cards, so I'm just going to assume that they are accurate. Lilia's reading. She is the Queen of Cups. And I like that because it made her feel she was a good witch and who had done good. It was a positive reading for herself of who she was. What's missing? A coven. And she even wrote that on the piece of paper that was the stand-in for that tarot card. That's what she wrote the names of her coven on. What is the path behind? Knight of Wands, full of fire, fights bravely. Alice, before she died. What is ahead? Jennifer Kale, High Priestess. Immense spiritual power, unwilling or unable to use it. What a tease! Will she be unleashed next week? Obstacles. This was interesting. Not just Agatha, but Agatha's pain. Heartbreak, sorrow, and grief, which I think is what makes her the way that she is, but also is perhaps the key to defeating her if you can solve those issues for her. The windfall. This is also interesting. Tower reversed, which was also something she saw when she did William Kaplan's reading at his bar mitzvah. I think, because the tower is reversed, it means miraculous transformation. And that means bringing Billy Maximoff and being part of bringing Billy Maximoff into the world. And I think that's probably such a momentous thing to have happened that her being a part of that is the windfall. And in some ways, even facilitating it by protecting him. That's amazing. And then finally, the destination death. Rio, who was there? Well, she's there for a number of them, but Lilia included. Lilia passes her trial and gets her coven out. She saves her new coven, whereas she wasn't able to save her old coven. Oh, the tears! She warns Agatha, when she calls you a coward, hit the deck. Let's remember it. She gives Billy back his spell book, which she found. I thought that was really nice. And she tells Jennifer she is the path forward. She's the future. And that was great. And so fitting that they spent that time together during the episode where Lilia literally imparted a lot of her knowledge to the next generation, Jennifer. And then Lilia does not leave the trial because she knows if the witch who passed the trial does not leave, chaos will ensue. So she sets a trap, a kill zone for the Salem 7, who, they're kind of creepy, but they don't do that much. So I was ready for them to go. And I was like, yeah, I get it. You're creepy. So she invites destruction and she turns the tower card right side up, which flips the actual tower of the castle that they're in. And it kills the Salem 7 and herself, but not immediately for her. I thought it was such a sad, poignant moment where she held on for a moment to the tarot table, which was in many ways her touchstone. But then she too falls. And again, as I said, she dies, but then goes right back to her beginning because now her circle is closed, it is complete, and she can just continue to run through it in a loop forever. Although now she'll be more stable because she now will always forever know what's coming. Ah, so sad. And that end song, Time in a Bottle. What a great choice. This show is cheap to make, and thank goodness, because they are spending a lot of money on music rights for these fantastic end credit songs. I love the visuals of the end credits, and I love the song. I listen to it and watch it all the way through every time. And that's episode 7, Tragic and Beautiful Indeed. 2 episodes left, witches. Both next Wednesday. I'm very excited to see how they end this, how they bring it home. One day before Halloween, no less. Joe Locke again said this was his favorite episode. Where would you rank it? And I think it's very sweet and perhaps very smart of him to have picked an episode where he was not the focus. So he's a good diplomat and he's a good egg, good witch, but not too good because he's a witch. All right, so share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.